how yoga and meditation are different.
Even yoga cannot help you. People think that yoga is just stretch and just sit for long, but you're not catering to the mental fitness of a person, which is more important than looking ripped. And then finally, ऐसा हो जाएगा, suddenly you'll be like, अभी surgery चाहिए, nobody can help you.
Pallavi Marshall is a yoga teacher who had been an MBA grad, and Anne has the experience of corporate field. She has a cult of women and students who want to make yoga an integral parts of their life.
So अगर आप बैक पेन का एग्जाम्पल भी ले लो, how it manifests, पहले होगा एक हल्का सा कभी on and off, you might have pain when you've been sitting for long. So either you wake up now or you wake up like after 5 years.
Hi people, welcome to a very interesting conversation of Discover with Singh. Today we have with us a very amazing guest who's here to probably guide and break some myths about yoga, meditation, and a lot of stuff we probably don't look at it the right way. So yes, thank you so much, Pallavi, for being here. And if you could just introduce yourself.
Hi Preet, it's so good to be here.
Can you tell all of the audience also a little bit about yourself who don't know you yet?
Yeah, sure. So I am a yoga teacher currently, but I started my career with the corporate sector. I am an MBA by qualification,
Oh, okay.
and just happened that I fell in love with yoga. So right now I'm into teaching yoga, and I'm also into Ayurvedic nutrition because yoga and Ayurveda just go together so well. So I'm very passionate about both these ancient sciences. Yes, so that's what I live in Hyderabad, and I have 2 kids and a cat.
Three kids technically then, including the cat. Chalo, that's great. And no, I've looked at your online content journey as well. You've been putting up some really valuable stuff that way. So kudos to that and keep doing that. And as we were discussing, right, there's a lot of confusion going around when people hear the word yoga, right? And
Yeah.
yoga in its sense, can you help us? Can we begin by discussing what the scope of yoga is and then get into how yoga and meditation are different?
Definitely. So I think one misconception is there are two extreme schools. So one is people think that yoga is just stretch and just sit for long, and it's very slow and boring. It's for older people. That is something which we get to hear. So
Yeah.
that's one end, and the other is people think when they see people doing headstands and handstands and all those complicated postures, they think they need to be very fit, they need to be very flexible to even try yoga. So both these are extreme schools of thoughts, and actually the truth lies somewhere in between. Yoga can meet you wherever you are, and yoga can give you what you need. The only condition is for you to just show up, or for you to just start. And if you're practicing under a guidance, under the guidance of a professional, of a good teacher, experienced teacher, they can meet you where you are. So if your goals are to get more flexible, yes, definitely yoga can help you with that also. But more importantly than just the postures, actually yoga is so much more than the physical. So we talk about the physical aspect, but the mind, yoga focuses on the mind. Yoga helps you deal with the stuff here. So whether it's your mind, emotions,
Yeah.
thoughts, all of that. And there is a lot of misconception which even I had before I started my journey. So I used to think, okay, yoga is you do these postures and you twist and turn, and then you meditate. Meditation is different, but actually meditation is a part of yoga. So
Okay.
yoga has, so if you talk about the 8 limbs of yoga given by Patanjali, which is called Ashtanga Yoga, that you can say is the core of, the Hatha Yoga practice. So you start with the physical postures and all, you become stronger. Your body is ready to sit, and then you purify the channels, energy channels of the body with breath work. So there are steps. Okay,
Hmm.
before asanas is actually code of conduct. How should you behave? So I don't
Hmm.
want to go into too much of details, but it's very important. So, for
Hmm.
example, we call them yamas and niyams. So how you would conduct yourself in public or with society. So the first
Hmm.
yama is ahimsa, which is non-violence. So there
Hmm.
are different yamas, and then there is a personal code of conduct or your discipline. So in that, the first is socha, which means cleanliness. So when we
Hmm.
say cleanliness, cleanliness of the place, of course, if you are filthy or your mat is filthy or your surroundings are cluttered, of course you can't practice with a clear mind. But
Hmm.
also purity of thoughts. If you're full
Hmm.
of negativity towards everyone, your mind will not be at ease. So first you get all that, then you
Hmm.
do your postures, then you do breath
Hmm.
work, and then the end goal is meditation. So if you see
Hmm.
logically also, sitting for meditation is not easy. If your
Yeah.
body, if you're having back pain and knee pain and all of that, you'll not be able to sit for meditation. So
Valid
the
point.
body should be strengthened.
Yeah.
And if your mind is not calm enough, so you try to tame the mind by also yoga, the physical practice, but also uh, pre meditation, what we call, you learn to concentrate on something physical.
Hmm.
So you prepare and then you do meditation. So they're not separate. They are, meditation is very much a part of yoga.
Hmm.
And even for meditation, there are different techniques. So for beginners, when you have no idea, I'll, of course, if you're interested, we can talk about that today.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
We give them some different tools, and then as you keep
Hmm.
progressing, you can go to something more subtle to
Hmm.
meditate upon.
Hmm. Interestingly, I'll be very keen to understand that also, probably a little later in the conversation. But as you said, um, about yoga, about your surroundings, first of all, right? And how this essentially is a step. So, from what I understand, is that you start with physical yoga, and as you said, right, the goal or the vision is to be able to take it into a mental state where you're meditating as such. And I absolutely agree with you कि अगर मैं भी सोच रहा हूँ कि मेरे को meditate करना है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, right, तो
Yes,
immediately एक बार में बैठना और ध्यान लगाना is difficult,
yes,
right? Just sitting is difficult, especially, and you're right कि सारा दिन ऑफिस में बैठ बैठ के पीठ तो बहुत वैसे ही स्ट्रांग नहीं रहती है. It feels like there's a stretch someday, somewhat, right? So
right,
I think it makes a lot of sense, not just because you do yoga, but the whole argument that yes, when you're starting out, instead of, matlab, I'm not trying to compare also, but instead of starting out with meditation right away, I think might be a good idea to start with yoga when, of course, you're not thinking about too much stuff, but you're slightly involved in the physical aspect of it, so that your mind also has something to think upon, but it's not pondering around, right?
exactly. So even
So
the
from
physical practice of yoga, whether it's asanas and or whether
hmm,
you're doing some flows, that is also in a way a moving meditation, because
right,
the focus on breath. Uh, as a yoga teacher, we keep reminding people to connect with the body. So what they are
hmm,
feeling in every posture. So your mind is in that moment. The
hmm,
main idea is the happiness or that contentment is in present moment. So we
hmm,
have to figure out a way of being in this moment. So if
hmm,
you're doing a yoga practice, you
hmm,
can even make if you don't like to do the asan bit of yoga,
hmm,
even if
hmm,
you're going to gym, if you make those movements mindful, then you can
hmm,
even call that your asan
yeah,
practice or yoga,
hmm,
because that mindfulness element is the key.
hmm,
So this is also the reason that there are very low chances of injuries if you're doing yoga properly compared to gym, because in any other form which is very fast, you're so focused on the movement and on the goal,
hmm,
you're really
hmm,
not in tune with what is happening. So if you add that mindfulness bit, acha मैं ये weights कर रहा हूँ, what is happening, which muscles are being engaged, what am I using, how am I
hmm,
breathing, how is my emotional state of mind when I'm doing it, am I
yeah,
lifting because of ego, is this ego lifting, or am I
hmm,
lifting this for longevity or to get
hmm,
stronger.
hmm,
So you can just tailor your yoga practice according to what you want to achieve from it.
hmm,
So for
hmm,
some people, they'll be like, "Nahi, I just want to become fit. I just want to lose weight or become flexible."
hmm,
okay, maybe at this point you don't have the readiness to go for other steps, so it's okay, you meet us there. And quite honestly, I've seen so many yoga teachers who start or get into yoga for the physical practice, and then as they go
Mm.
deeper into that, then they realize that the beauty is in the more subtle aspects. But till
Mm.
you're ready, you don't have to delve into that. It's okay.
Sure, sure. I had this conversation with one of my friends who's also from Hyderabad a while ago, Rahul, right? And he
Okay.
also mentioned he does a lot of course he's a bodybuilder. In our conversation on the similar notes he mentioned was the mind muscle connection, and
Exactly.
I think that's where these your thoughts also overlap in that sense that when you're practicing something, even in the physical form, you should know what is happening, right? As you said कि gyms में usually हो जाता है कि हम ज़्यादा focus मूवमेंट पे कर रहे होते हैं या उससे क्या अचीव कर रहे हैं उस पर कर रहे होते हैं, बट बॉडी क्या फील कर रही है और कहाँ फील कर रही है वो चीज़ शायद एक मिस हो जाती है. सो इन दैट कॉन्टेक्स्ट जो जैसे मैं समझ पा रहा हूँ इस समय योगा को, इट ऑफ कोर्स along with the physical aspect, this when you said mindfulness, that summarizes the whole picture, that you're actually thinking and knowing what you're doing, right? There's a lot of knowing and awareness that's involved in that particular movement that you're doing. So yeah, that appears to be a good way to um, I don't know, just heal or think about stuff, and a good way to do it. I mean, you're a better person to answer that. I've never practiced yoga myself as such, because you're
Oh,
right when you mentioned there are myths, right? Ki
yeah.
doesn't look fancy, right? Or doesn't attract someone from the get go, right? Why do you think, one, that's the case, and how should we go on the way to like make more people aware about yoga and how this is not actually old for the old and for the boring?
I I think, for especially for people to just start, okay, those
Hmm.
who've never even tried it, for them
Hmm.
to just show up on the mat under the guidance of a teacher would be good. The
Hmm.
problem is we have so much of information these days. You have social media, you have so much of free resource available on YouTube and in
Hmm.
other forms. Uh, People get overwhelmed, they don't know where to start from. So if as a
Hmm.
beginner you want to start any, and I would say this specifically for yoga, but for any workout, please
Hmm.
start under the guidance of someone so you know what you're doing. If you
Hmm.
show up consistently and you practice for a few months, you will know what's working out for you, you will know the correct form. So if
Hmm.
you're working out, you will be focus so much on the form. And
Hmm.
if you're doing in yoga, we talk about alignments of the postures. So alignments are very important, so you learn that. And a lot of times people, in 6 to 8 months they will have an idea of what alignments are working for the
Hmm.
basic postures. Okay, so
Hmm.
you can, if you've managed to form a consistent routine, you can stick to that. And
Hmm.
if you are disciplined enough to show up, you can stick to that. What happens is that, that nudge that a teacher or a class or a structure can give, people
Hmm.
usually don't have that motivation from within. And quite honestly,
Hmm.
it even happens with me, it happens with
Hmm.
a lot of people.
Hmm.
I'm a very disciplined person from childhood because I'm a Fauji's daughter. So for us,
Oh.
everything was about physical discipline. So that
Hmm.
is how I am built. But
Hmm.
there are days when I struggle, especially when I had my baby, for example.
Hmm.
You struggle, and especially for moms, the priority, you have your kids, family, everything, you kind of take become low priority as time goes on. But this is why you have to keep your fitness at the topmost priority. You have to, and
Hmm.
especially with yoga practice, you're getting your physical fitness taken care of, you're feeling good in your body, your mind is
Hmm.
sorted, so you are like power charged for the next 24 hours. So
Hmm.
this is what I would suggest for beginners. Don't get overwhelmed by so much of stuff you have around. Prioritize your fitness. You can choose
Hmm.
any form you want. Start from practicing under somebody who knows their stuff. That will really be a game changer. And if you can
Hmm.
stick, you can do your self practice is very important, because that is when you can listen to that conversation in your mind. You can actually listen to your inner voice.
Hmm.
So that happens, like, when we journal. The why is writing, journaling so good? Because that's the
Hmm.
time you're listening to your voice
Correct.
and not
Correct.
other people's voice, you know. So we have so much of influx these days, there is no outlet. So
Mm.
when you're doing something on your own, or you're just like sitting, you know, just being with yourself, so yoga practice will give you that discipline. But if you can't show up, you continue to practice. And I have people who've been practicing with me online since COVID times, and I
Mm.
was on a break for a year and a half for the pregnancy and stuff. I resumed, and then most of them joined back.
Mm.
So they know the alignments, and there are some of them are really good advanced
Mm.
practitioners. But the fact that, you know, they have this time, they show up, and then
Mm.
we explore something new, different. Sometimes we do something advanced postures whenever
Mm.
people are ready, or something fun. So it becomes a
Mm.
community. So then you
Mm.
continue to go to a yoga studio or an online yoga studio.
Right.
But for beginners, it's just start from somewhere. Stop these, you know, limiting beliefs people have. I'm not flexible, and yoga is just try, give it a shot.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, that is what I would suggest for beginners.
Mm. And especially as you mentioned, right, that there were people who were initially there with you during COVID, and then for the even for the break post that, they were still there, right? Doesn't mean that they don't know how to do it, but there's always so much merit in
Yeah,
taking a class, or being learning with so many more people, right? And especially easier to do, right?
exactly.
You're at your home, you don't need to figure a lot of things out, and still somewhat you're able to have that community built in, right, apart from life, right? And even when I try to draw that parallel, I've spoken to a couple of people, as I told you, right, who doing फिटनेस कंसल्टिंग फॉर पीपल, राइट नाउ।
Hmm.
ऐसा भी नहीं है कि लोगों को नहीं पता उनको क्या करना है, राइट?
हाँ,
हर बंदा शायद जिम में खुद जा रहा होगा, या अपने घर पे भी वर्कआउट कर रहा है तो खुद कर रहा होगा, लेकिन
right.
हैविंग दैट चेक इन पॉइंट और हैविंग दैट स्केड्यूल makes all the difference, because you left to yourself achieve less, but when there are people who try to make you accountable, it makes a lot of difference.
डेफिनेटली, लाइक यूट्यूब वीडियोस के साथ तुम कर रहे हो, और लाइक खुद से भी कर रहे हो, यू विल डू ओके 5 पुशअप्स के बाद यू विल बी लाइक चलो ओके आई
चलो,
टेक अ ब्रेक.
हाँ,
बट इफ somebody is
एग्जैक्टली,
there to give you that extra push, the person will be
यस,
like, I believe in you, you can do two more. And I because I'm not a strength training expert, so
या,
I do strength training. I have a personal coach who comes to my
हम्म,
house 2 times a
हम्म,
week, and I'm learning from him. I attend so many other yoga teachers classes also, because I want to keep, you know, learning and growing. So there is
हम्म,
nothing, even teachers, if as a teacher you're not growing, you
हम्म,
stagnate. So
हम्म,
the more you grow, the more your students will grow.
हम्म,
So I try so many different formats. I love to explore. So
हम्म,
as a person also, if you compare, give an analogy with the work setting, a person is, you know, working in an
या,
office setup. You
या,
can't be like, chalo meko sab kuch aa gaya, now I'm good and I'm just going to be here. You have to keep growing.
करेक्ट,
That's why people
करेक्ट,
switch jobs, or you switch roles, or you
या,
completely change your sector, because I've
या,
been there. And also,
या,
you know, one point which you mentioned ki, you know, back may pain, and I told
हाँ,
you, so you're so young, you know, in early 20s, and it is happening, you know, हमारे
हम्म,
parents को जो problems 40s 50s में आ रही थी, our generation is getting it in 20s and 30s. Okay,
या,
people's not just the physical aspect, people के pains, neck pain, back pain is like, it's so common, like I don't know
या,
anybody who doesn't have this these days, because of our
या,
lifestyle and postures.
करेक्ट,
Not that कि
करेक्ट,
हम में कुछ defect है, but
करेक्ट,
also you know, anxiety, insomnia, all these things are
हम्म,
coming. Migraines are so rampant,
हम्म,
and PCOD, thyroid issues in younger people, people in
हम्म,
20s and 30s are so common. So,
हम्म,
abhi kya ho gaya hai? I would say beginners ke liye, or anybody, it's not a choice anymore now. Now it's become a
that's
compulsion.
true,
Okay,
true है,
it's the need of the hour. So either
true,
you wake up now, or you wake up like after 5 years, when you have like itne sare pills prescribed to you, or you know, there is something which uh, uh, you know, nothing can help you at that point. You will be forced to, you know, maybe go through
correct,
something drastic. So preventive कर सकते हैं, और अगर preventive
हम्म,
नहीं भी है, it's just the starting of something. So in
yeah,
Ayurveda also we say the disease, it manifests in different stages. So
हम्म,
अगर आप बैक पेन का एग्जांपल भी ले लो, तो सम हाउ इट मैनिफेस्ट, पहले होगा एक हल्का सा कभी ऑन एंड ऑफ, यू माइट हैव पेन व्हेन यू बीन सिटिंग फॉर लॉन्ग. As you
correct,
keep maintaining the same lifestyle, no taking breaks,
yes,
sitting straight
frequent,
for like 8 9 hours, the pain will increase, the
yeah,
duration, the intensity, recurrence, right? And then it gives
हम्म,
बढ़ता जाएगा, so you might have slip disc, you might have bulges, and then
Hmm.
finally ऐसा हो जाएगा suddenly you'll be like अभी surgery चाहिए, nobody can help you, even yoga cannot help you, you know,
At
because
that point.
yoga therapy also, it will take a good amount of time, and when the situation is so extreme, nobody wants to like wait for 3 months for the therapy, and
Correct.
people don't even
Correct.
trust you know, alternate therapy, so उस वक्त they'll just listen to their doctor, they'll be like चलो surgery कर देते हैं, so we can avoid all that. तो अभी ऑप्शन नहीं है फॉर majority of people, it's the need of the hour to
Ah.
move, to take care of their mind and take care
Hmm.
of their emotions. यार,
Hmm.
process your emotions, come face to face with your emotions. Coping skills क्या है हमारे? Our coping skills
Hmm.
have become partying, drinking, have a lot of coffee. We just want to numb ourselves. You
Hmm.
know, that way of coping has to be like, uh, instead of going for these quick fixes, why can't we cope in a healthier way? It's There's
Hmm.
nobody who's not going through emotional stuff, crisis. People have emotional crisis, financial crisis. सबके होते हैं. Social media is so glossed over. Even
Hmm.
like the most happening looking people, we know, right? Some
Hmm.
of them are honest enough to accept they have
Yeah.
terrible days. They burn
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Content, creating content is not easy. I'm sure even, you know,
Yeah.
since you do it, you would know it's what goes behind the scenes. We don't see, we just see that 30-second reel of
Yeah.
people's life. Oh, they went for a
Correct.
vacation in Maldives. Okay. How did, you know, so अभी ऐसा हो गया कि करने का जरूरत बहुत हो चुका है, तो
Hmm.
it's not an option.
नहीं मैं इसको खुद को इंटरनलाइज भी कर रहा हूँ और सोच रहा हूँ दैट यस देयर सो मच
Yeah, I
merit
don't want
in
to
what you're
scare
saying.
you, but I mean,
नहीं,
this
it's
is
not
the
about
case.
scaring, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean you should scare me if that's if what you're saying is for the good, right? Which I know it is.
Or
So then
order
why
around.
not? Order ado if you think there's more material around.
Maybe later.
But yes, communicates the idea that it needs to be given importance, right? I think people who are listening here let that sink in. It's just we're not just saying this for saying this, right? Let's not go back to our lives after listening to this podcast and not do something about it.
Most of the people know that what they need to do. Moving is good, eating well is good, taking care of nourishment, sleeping is good. People know, but
Right.
sometimes, you know, ek to they don't maybe have the right kind of guidance. The other
Right.
is the lack of motivation to just show up. Somebody can, you know, motivate you and pump you up a lot, even a teacher or a trainer. But finally, it comes to the discipline from within you. So that is why
Hmm.
habits, building good habits, is also such a cornerstone of being a healthy individual. So when we talk
Yeah.
about fitness or health, we always talk about a holistic way. A person
Correct.
might be looking ripped, मतलब physically, एक तो people का है ना दिमाग में,
Uh,
that if a
uh,
girl, especially for girls, if they are very skinny, bikini body, and for guys, if they have like 6 packs, eight
six
packs,
figure.
they are fit, they are healthy, but
Hmm.
you're not catering to the mental
Mind.
fitness of a
Hmm.
person, which is more important than looking ripped. Are they going through an eating disorder to get that bikini body?
Hmm.
Are they living on, like, you know, just juice diet or whatever, which is gonna mess up their hormones and, you know, increase their stress levels through the roof,
Hmm.
which is not sustainable. So health,
Hmm.
holistic, and whatever you're doing should be sustainable.
Hmm.
That is, I think, the direction people need to, लोगों को पता है, people of our
Hmm.
generation are very aware. Even college students these days, they are very aware, so they know they
Correct.
need, but there's a difference between knowing and then actually implementing that.
Hmm. What is the gap? I mean, people know, but they're not doing it. Just laziness.
Priorities. One is
Hmm.
priorities, definitely. Where what are you prioritizing yourself? Also, in yoga, we say that satsang, the you know, they, it's also said, right,
Community.
you are the sum of five people around you or something
Yes.
like
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
So what is the company you're keeping?
Hmm.
A lot of times, especially younger people, when we were also in our early 20s, you know, you do a
Hmm.
lot of things to just fit in, because that time
Yeah.
you've not found yourself. You're still figuring
Hmm.
out, Acha, who am I? What are
Hmm.
my motivations? You know, what do
Hmm.
I need to do in life? So you do a lot of stuff to fit in. If your
Hmm.
friends are, you know, doing a particular thing every weekend, you do that. And
Right.
because of that, a lot of people take to drinking, smoking, for example, uh, they start usually with friends, and then some of them, as you grow older, some of them quit and some of them move, and then some of them are still in that same zone. So a lot of people, I've seen in their mid 30s or late 30s also, they're still living the way they used to when they were in their 20s or early 20s. They've not evolved. So you do whatever you figure your stuff out. And I feel that 20s, now that I'm in my 30s, 20s are for you to figure out. You try everything, you experience, but from a point that at some point you should know, what do I need, not just doing it for the sake of others. Just what do you need? Is this truly making you happy? And isliye I just want to, because even you're working a corporate job, and I know a lot of people who listen to this will be working a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 kind of a job.
Yeah.
So I have been there. You have a lot of networking to do for work, and you justify a lot of things, like, no, this is for work. I'm networking. I need to do
Yeah.
this for work. And then, and then you do some stuff for your friends. So I need to do this to maintain my social circle. So you
Correct.
do all that, but moderation, of course, is important.
Hmm.
You can do it. I'm not saying कि घर पे ही बैठे रहो बस, कुछ भी मत करो. I also,
Correct.
I have a very vibrant life. I have a lot of friends. Yeah, so I do everything. I watch Netflix. I
Hmm.
binge watch a lot of stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But you need to pull yourself back and just introspect. अच्छा ये मैं कर रहा हूँ. Is it actually making me relax? So many times I get so overwhelmed. Yeah, with all doing stuff for kids, doing stuff, working, giving so much to my students, and then sometimes I feel like, okay, what did I do today for myself? And then I'm like, okay, let me watch something on Netflix. And after that, I'm like, okay, did it make me feel better? Maybe I should have just taken a nap. That would have helped me more. So everything works very customized. So your fitness, that's why I can't give any blanket kind of things. कि ये कर लो, this will work for
Sorted.
everyone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to figure out. सबकी body types भी अलग होती हैं. Not
Uh,
everybody can have like a lot of physical strain. So these days people are like, bodybuilding is for everyone, strength training is for everyone.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
to an extent, yes, majority of people, or eating XYZ is for everyone. Majority of the people are having issues with the postures or overweight and all of those. Okay, it might work, but it might not work for everyone. A lot of people don't even have the stamina to lift weights. So they will just get frustrated. They might start with some low intensity workout and then move to something which is moderate to high intensity. So everything should be customized. We have to, that is why yoga will give you tools to go
Think
here.
also. Yeah.
यहाँ, this is the game. This is the magic. I'll tell you why. अभी आप कह रहे हो कि लोग करना चाहते हैं but they are not able
Yeah.
to do. Mental strength,
Hmm.
determination, discipline, it's lacking. And at least our parents, I don't know how your parents were, our parents kind of were a little harsh to us and gave us reality checks from time to time. Our generation, like millennials having kids, our kids are so protected. We are ready to give them the world, and we have the
Yeah.
means, and we have so much of information. Like Instagram mein, if you see parenting, there are like so many advices. Whatever you're doing, your kids are going to be an emotional wreck if you shout at
Yeah.
them or if you do
Yeah.
this. So those kids are very protected anyway. So उनका mental resilience कैसे बनाना है? That's also our job. हमें अपना mental health देखना है, उनका भी हमें देखना है.
देखना है, definitely.
Diet, you talk about diet, eating well, सबको पता है यार, घर का खाना is good, Swiggy is, okay, and as an occasional treat it's good,
Yeah.
but swigging every day, takeouts every day, eating out, of course, yeah, like the quality of ingredients people use while cooking and all outside, or हमारे घर में we use the purest of the things.
Correct.
The food is cooked with so much of love. Like हमारी
Yeah.
mom जो बनाती है, why is it tasty? It might be bland or tasting bad for other people. हम लोगों को अच्छा ही लगता है because of that love that goes, right? Hygiene. तो ये पता है, but यहाँ strength नहीं है. Craving हो रही है यार 10:30, 11 ice cream खाने की. You can't say no. And on top of that, these Swiggy guys and Zomato guys are so smart.
Send
They'll send you the
notification
messages with those ice cream emojis. Are you craving an ice cream? And you'll be
Yeah.
like, oh my god, Swiggy
Yeah.
knows what I want. So do you have the mental strength to say no at that time? And you know what? The more you start saying no to stuff like this, it builds resilience in mind. So body को तो strong करना है. वो तो अभी आजकल with the recent cases, all so much of violence against women, suddenly
Yeah.
everybody is like, yeah, women need to be stronger, strength training karo, martial arts sikhao women ko. Okay, physical strength is important for everyone. We don't
Hmm.
have the actual scenario of wild animals chasing us, but
Hmm.
अपने आप को बचाने के लिए भागने की कैपेसिटी, अपने बच्चों के साथ खेलने, ग्रैंड किड्स के साथ खेलने की कैपेसिटी, टेकिंग केयर ऑफ योर joints as you
Hmm.
age,
Hmm.
that is important, but this is even more important.
Hmm. Very
Mm,
power packed 2 3
yeah, let it soak
minutes
in.
that made a lot.
Take some time, take a
Ah,
deep
I think
breath.
that is. Ah, let's take a deep breath.
Works.
But yes, this is nice, yeah. I think I'll pick this up for other conversations as well. That also people who are listening, that when you feel that there's something powerful that's been said, maybe pause the video, maybe let that soak in, maybe think about what you want to do about it, right? And not let that pass if you think, because yes, I do. I'm glad you said a lot of things so bluntly,
Hmm.
because प्यार से वही जैसे आपने बोला ना कि ऐसे लगता है कि बड़े हम प्रोटेक्टिवली बोल रहे हैं, नॉट जस्ट टू किड्स बट इवन व्हेन गिविंग गाइडेंस और सेइंग समथिंग, राइट?
Yeah.
बट व्हेन यू से थिंग्स ब्लंटली, प्रॉब्ली तभी शायद 100 में से 3 4 लोग को हिट होगी, एंड वो लोग मे बी विल थिंक अबाउट इट एंड डू समथिंग अबाउट इट, राइट?
Exactly.
सो
And understanding nobody is perfect. So if you think of any transformation, whether it's physical or whether it's the internal stuff, it takes time. It's a process. It's a journey. So I can come here and say, "Arey yaar, don't go for that dessert after food or midnight snack." I love desserts. I love desserts. So for me, I have that battle that I have to be like, okay, what do I do? So that is why habits, building that resilience, learning to say no, why, understanding, okay, where is this craving coming from, is this emotional? And sometimes we say, okay, hormones, especially women, always we say during pregnancy, before your periods, you can always say, okay, hormones, let me have that chocolate. Indulge, you can have sometimes. It's not a yes or a no. Everything is moderation. If you're having a dessert and it's suiting you, and तुम्हारा पूरा डाइट बहुत क्लीन है, you can have it, it's fine.
you were saying no one's perfect.
Exactly, it's all a process.
Hmm.
So don't think you need to be perfect from day one, but you show up, you start from somewhere. That's what
Hmm.
discipline is, what our yoga practice teaches us. So I always encourage people, if you want to work on going for an exercise, you do it at the same time every day, so it becomes second nature. So the day
Hmm.
you don't do it, you will know something is missing. How we get
Hmm.
used to brushing,
Yeah.
you know, these days people are aware of building good habits.
Correct.
So, when I say about something about atomic habits, the
Hmm.
book, not sure if, a lot of people have read it, but it gives the basic idea. Whenever you want to build a good habit or you want to get rid of a negative habit, you start working towards this. So agar
Hmm.
aapko, how brushing is second nature for us, it becomes a
Yeah.
routine, right? If you brush one day and then you don't brush for 10 days, you might go another 5 days without brushing, wo aadat pad jata hai. So
Hmm.
how you make this fitness, eating well, having your breakfast on time or meals on time, this is also a big epidemic these days.
Hmm.
People are
Hmm.
not eating on time.
Even I'm not doing it. Can't say. मतलब मैं नहीं बोल सकता डेफिनेटली, बट हाँ मैं सीख ज़रूर सकता हूँ और इंटरनलाइज ज़रूर कर सकता हूँ दैट व्हाट यू सेइंग इज एब्सोल्युटली
Yeah, सब कुछ एक साथ
राइट.
करने की जरूरत नहीं है, but you have to start from somewhere at some point.
एब्सोल्युटली. एब्सोल्युटली. बट एक्नॉलेजिंग इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप कि भाई नहीं कर रहे.
हाँ, कुछ
है
तो
ना,
कर, अभी
है ना.
एक दिन में मंडे, पीपल आर लाइक, मंडे से आई एम गोना बी ऑन अ गुड डाइट, आई एम गोना वर्क आउट, आई एम गोना eat on time, I'm going to sleep on time. You can't do everything in a day. So you
करेक्ट.
take baby steps. You say, okay, I'm
करेक्ट.
going to start with this, which is the most doable. Start working out for 20 minutes. Start
या.
having your breakfast on time. These are doable steps.
हम्म.
uh, which once you get there, then you do okay. And if there's no point, if you haven't worked out ever, you was like, nahi main 1 घंटा शुरू करती हूँ." you
हाँ
might,
ऐसे नहीं
your
होता.
body will not be able to take this anyway.
Correct, correct. And as you mentioned, Atomic Habits, he, the author, mentioned, I'm forgetting his name. Ki start with 2 minutes.
James Clear. Yeah.
James Clear, right? Right. Start
Yeah.
with 2 minutes, whatever you can. I started my book reading habit through that. अब थोड़ा थोड़ा
Ah,
better हो रहा है. तो but only because कि don't try to achieve so much every day because you won't be able to,
exactly.
and then you'll be disheartened. So start
See
by
this.
whatever is the first step,
Exactly.
right?
Book reading,
That's the
even
key.
I'm struggling. I was such a voracious reader when I was a kid. You won't believe,
Uh,
I used to cry, and I used to cry to go to libraries. And I used to
wow.
tag along with my dad,
Uh,
because his office had this huge library. And he used to
hmm,
just leave me there, and I used to come back with this pile of books. And luckily for me, even my daughter has got that habit. So she comes to me after every few days, and she's like, I'm running out of books. I need you to get me more books. This is a very
wow.
good problem for a parent to have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
खुद books नहीं पढ़ पा रही हूँ because I think we consume so much of content on our phones and
Uh,
laptops and stuff. We kind of get
yeah.
saturated. So for me to
Yeah.
read a book, it just takes me so long to finish one book, and I have like these small pile of books that makes me feel so guilty because I've just read them halfway.
Yeah.
So yeah, even I'm working on this.
But but yes, you're working on it, right? That's the
Yes,
most
yes,
important
yes.
thing. That's
Definitely.
nice.
So even like again, rather than if you've not been doing it, rather than aiming of having reading like finishing one book in like 10 days or something, you say I'll read 2 pages. That's what I'm doing. So one
Correct.
thing that I've replaced is watching, Netflix or anything late night. So usually,
Hmm.
what used to happen the whole day, I was so busy with work and all the chores and the kids ka stuff. The only time I was getting for myself used to be, except workout, that workout hour I have carved for myself. I don't care. I just
Hmm.
lock myself or I go out. But
Hmm.
you know, like just getting to watch something, just
And
kuch bhi
chilling.
dekho, or
Yeah.
like chat with friends and all. So I started doing this before sleeping, because that after my kids sleep, 10 o'clock or something, I
Huh.
used to do this for half an hour, 1 hour. It was really affecting my sleep, not the quality. I think because I get so tired, I have a good quality, but the fact that the bedtime used to keep getting pushed. You'll be like, "Arey, आधा
हाँ.
episode, एक episode देख के," so it became
फिर
11
वो
and
binge
11.
watch हो जाता है.
Yeah. So then what I started doing is, in place of that late night watching, I mean, if I'm really overwhelmed, some days I still give in and I do it. But what I started doing is, I started reading just 2 pages of like any book. And
Hmm.
I try to preferably keep it non-fiction, so it's not that intriguing that you stay up.
Hmm.
Quite
Hmm.
honestly, 3 4 pages ke baad I'm so drowsy, I really can't make it. So it's working
हाँ.
really well.
It
Yeah,
draws you to sleep as
I'm
well,
ticking
but
that
you've
off
replaced it
my
with.
like my list, that reading every day,
Hmm.
just 2 pages, 3 pages, or you can even write.
Hmm.
Writing is also very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've also the people that I mean, I'm loving the journey. Yeah. Thank you so much for mentioning कि मतलब मेरे को भी जैसे आपने बोला ना राइटिंग, मेरे को ऐसे फ्लैशबैक आ जाता है कि यार ये सक्षम भाई ने भी बोली थी कि यार ये बात तो सही है. तो मैं थोड़ी थोड़ी जैसे थोड़ी थोड़ी चीज़ें इम्बाइब कर रहा हूँ ना धीरे धीरे. इट्स ऑल्सो मेकिंग अ डिफरेंस टू मी पर्सनली, एंड आई hope the summation of all of these conversations people are also finding and doing something about it, right? But coming back to yoga, as we discussed, right, so many problems that are caused by our sedentary lifestyle, and not um, some are just general problems, right? So
Right.
what can be some common asanas or some common solutions to help with those, right? say
So
say people who have women who have PCOS or PCOD, is there something particular they can do?
right. So, so I will start with something very physical, because
Hmm.
PCOD, all those hormonal issues are very deep rooted. Okay, so
Right.
initially, of course, they might be a result of, some people are genetically predisposed to having this, but not that
Hmm.
you cannot prevent it or delay it. I'm just saying कि you might be like, अरे मेरी friend तो इतना कुछ खाती है बाहर का, drinks beer खाती है, उसको कुछ नहीं हो रहा. I'm eating
Hmm.
so well, I'm just not indulging occasionally twice a week or something, and मेरे को ये हो गया. Some people हो जाता है ना, we keep that victim mentality. So
Right.
it is definitely in your hand, even prevention
Hmm.
and even reversing.
Hmm.
PCOD wala, I will come back to it after the first
Okay.
bit, which is something as basic as back pain, neck pain, which
Sure.
we've
Sure.
kind of accepted, right? Because even you said you
Sure.
were having. So uske liye
Yes.
what you can do is, when you are at work, you are having a, a job, you're working for 10 hours, you're sitting
Yeah.
for like 2 3 hours with eyes on the screen, with just in the same
Correct.
position. And if you see, वो
Correct.
spine का और hip का position is just that L shape जो हम chair में करते हैं. You can do so
Yes.
much in your chair. Okay, so you can take breaks. Okay,
Hmm.
the ones who smoke, who know very well उनका time हो गया, they take a break. So
Yeah.
similar to that, for our health, we'll
Hmm.
take a break. We go for a
Okay.
walk around. If possible, to
Hmm.
track your steps, that's also a good way to know, acha, am I moving enough?
कितना हो गया?
Just walk
Hmm.
around the room, or have a post lunch, have a walk, post breakfast,
Yep.
have a 10-minute walk. If you can finish your calls on the walk. If you are at work and you're so busy, apne office ke
Hmm.
calls you can take it while walking. Do
Correct.
some stretches. So there are stretches. You don't need a yoga mat to do yoga. Yoga can come to you wherever, like I said, it can meet you wherever you want. Okay,
Okay.
you should just have the will. You
Hmm.
can do yoga with on your chair. So there are
Okay.
different kind of series we designed for corporates whenever we take corporate sessions.
Hmm.
In fact, I had
Hmm.
one last week. So
Hmm.
I made them do things which they can do on their chair. They don't even have to get up from their workstation. So you do shoulder
Huh.
mobility, you mobilize your neck, you work with some hip
Huh.
stretches, अपने spine को strong करने के लिए you do. So the key is कि of course it will not give you huge transformation कि तुम fit मतलब weight loss हो जाएगा, but इट इज मोर प्रिवेंटिव कि पेन नहीं होगा, आपको
पेन नहीं
स्टिफनेस नहीं
होगा तो
होगा,
रोक सकते हो.
आपको बाद में
Hmm.
इश्यूज. सो यू डू लाइक स्पाइन कैन मूव इन सो मेनी वेज. आई डोंट
Hmm.
पीपल डोंट इवन नो व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज एक ही पोज, यू बेंड एंड यू स्लाउच. दिस इज जो स्पाइनल फ्लेक्शन है. Our spine can
Correct.
bend back, our spine can, we can twist, we can do side bend. So we just
Hmm.
incorporate that by sitting on the chair. You can
Hmm.
even do some hip stretches. Our generation is
Okay.
so tight in the hips, like people are unable to sit on the floor. And sometimes I say
Hmm.
this in corporate sessions, I feel so many people feel colder. They're like, it feels like you're talking. We can't sit on the
Targeting
floor
them.
with our
Yeah.
legs crossed. Sukhasan
Yeah.
mein, like गुरुद्वारा में भी तो नीचे बैठते हैं, मंदिर में नीचे
Yes.
बैठते हैं.
चौकड़ी में
So
आते हैं.
some people can't do that because it's become so, we are so used to sitting on chairs in that particular, that hip ऐसा
Yes.
section में रहता है. Even the hip joint, it's a ball and socket
Hmm.
joint, right? Hips can also move in so many ways. तो आप चेयर पे बैठ के भी कर
Hmm.
सकते हो बटरफ्लाई. I mean, I don't know if you can see. I'll come to that. move
Hmm.
move the joints, move the body, move your spine. So
Hmm.
one is you take break, you walk about, you move, and then on in your chair itself you can do test stretches, you can do stuff to relax your eyes. So आप
Hmm.
continuously, अभी हम लोग बात करें, we are
देख रहे हैं.
continuously looking in this
Yeah.
particular direction. You can look
Yeah.
far. Okay, you can
Okay.
look, do that, keep
हाँ.
varying the distance, take a break for your eyes, do palming. This is something you can do. Mind को भी आप
Hmm.
break दे सकते हो. You can do deep breathing. The easiest way is, which will work on the mind. Breath and mind have such a beautiful connection, you know that, right? जब भी हम
Hmm.
लोग कभी किसी को बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा है, or somebody is very anxious, you close your eyes, just take a few breaths. So in yoga, that is why the emphasis on breath is so important, because
Hmm.
breath is a way for us to manipulate prana, which is the vital energy. So अपने
Hmm.
vital energy या prana को increase करने के लिए, that pranic energy को बढ़ाना is the main, such an important aspect of yoga. Okay, that is what we work on. So इसीलिए breath को बहुत focus दिया जाता है, because breath and prana like intertwine. So
Hmm.
you can do some breath work. You can just कुछ complicated भी नहीं करना. I'm not even gonna teach you like alternate nostril breathing. Just close your eyes and do mindful breathing. So ये सब तो आप बैठ के कर सकते हो. Now when we talk about PCOD, PCOS, it's more, so in on Instagram there's like this trend, and I know there are limitations for creators because we just have those 30 seconds to give out information, and for
Right.
people to just get attracted कि चलो ये इससे तो शुरू होंगे, कुछ तो आएंगे. But you doing those 5 yoga poses will not cure your
Yeah.
PCOD, because it's a deep rooted issue in the system.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
PCOD, you need, diet is very very important in any of these
Hmm.
hormonal issues. You have to get the diet in order. So like I
Hmm.
said, I'm not going to give blanket ki ye khao ye mat khao, but if you feel that you're insulin resistant, then you of course have to see what is giving you those inflammation or the spike. ठीक है. So
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say कि बस carbs छोड़ दो, eat protein, do keto. I don't believe in
Hmm.
all this because it's not sustainable. But
Hmm.
make those small hacks. Of course, we all know processed foods. If you take a packet of anything which is processed, kitne ingredients hai, we don't even know. We can't even pronounce those
Hmm.
names. So you're
Yeah.
putting some stuff in that body, and if you're doing
Yeah.
it very regularly, it will sometimes somehow come show in some way, manifest in some, give you some digestive distress or even
Hmm.
hormonal. So PCOD, PCOS के लिए diet की movement is important. And in yoga we say, पहले की ladies जो होती थी, especially in India, they used to do so much of work sitting on the floor, right? So,
Hmm.
chakki pisna and all of that. And
Hmm.
actually, in yoga, there is a series. So it's
Hmm.
one part of Pavan Mukh series we call. The movement is actually the stuff that people used to do previously. So एक योगा में हम करते हैं चक्की चालन आसन, आपने देखा
हाँ.
होगा maybe. So that
Hmm.
is like पहले जो होता था. And then there is one, पहले की ladies पोछा लगाती थी, ठीक है,
Hmm.
नीचे बैठ के. So that also strengthens the pelvic floor. It
Yep.
strengthens, opens the hips. Or there is one chopping wood. We so even for guy,
हाँ
that's
वो
very.
कूटना.
So you do like a
Yeah.
squat and then you go up and
Yeah.
down. So
हाँ.
all those things. तो पहले के लोगों में क्यों नहीं होता था? डाइट अच्छी होती थी, माइंड फोकस था, सिंपल लाइफ थी, राइट? खाओ पियो
Hmm.
बातें करो, स्पेंड टाइम विद फैमिली. तो दे वर सो बिजी, दे यूज्ड टू बी सो टायर्ड विद द फिजिकल वर्क, दे यूज्ड टू हैव अ गुड स्लीप. जल्दी सो रहे थे. इवन व्हेन वी वर किड्स, लाइक 9:30 was like super late. My bedtime used to be 9 for us. So आजकल
Hmm.
तो I have to really consciously make sure it's followed. But there was a time, like almost since my MBA days to, I don't know, till the time I had kids, I used to be sleeping at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock used to be like the daily thing. It's like actually I got into yoga teaching to encourage myself to wake up early. That was like my hit. I want to wake up early, but I have no motivation. So, okay.
हाँ.
And when I was before COVID, when I was teaching in studios, there was a time I used to wake up at 4:30, and I had
Hmm.
like this routine, morning routine karke, and I had my first class in the studio at 6. So it became very normal for me. So जबरदस्ती जल्दी सोना पड़ता था. But then
Hmm.
you have to find your why, whatever you're
Hmm.
doing. You have to wake up early. You take an early morning yoga class, or you tie up with a friend to go for that morning walk.
Hmm.
So PCOD, PCOS, again coming back to that. Sorry, I digressed.
That's okay.
And also
Did well.
mind. When you're
Hmm.
so stressed, your body goes into this, we call it fight and flight mode. Okay, जो पहले
Yeah.
होता था, when we were hunter gatherers, you see an animal coming to you and your body is charged to run away.
Hmm.
But that happened for just a few minutes, till you are away.
Hmm.
For either you get eaten up or you are so far from danger, you're safe, and then you come back, everything comes
Right.
back. So when that fight and flight response happens, there is more blood which goes to arms and legs for us to be able to fight, for us to
Hmm.
be able to run. But आजकल क्या हो गया? Because of chronic stress, we are always in that.
Hmm.
So the vitality or blood supply, everything is going away from our vital organs,
Hmm.
going away from our hormones. That is why is managing your stress so important. हर चीज का solution है, अरे stress मत लो नहीं, learn how to deal with that stress.
Hmm.
Stress, पैसे कमाने का stress सबको है यार, we have to earn
Hmm.
a living, अपना एक lifestyle करना, all these things, work stress. I'm a yoga teacher. I do have a lot of stress that comes with my work, making sure my class starts on time, making sure my students are injury free, making sure I'm taking care of my health so that I'm a role model to them. Business
Yeah.
aspect, making sure people come for my class. So
Yeah.
I'm hosting a retreat right now. Okay, so
Hmm.
uh, it sounds really good that people are going to have, and I have designed it with so much of heart that it should
Hmm.
be a holistic thing. People should come and they should go back refreshed. But for me
Hmm.
to plan it and to make sure right kind of people appear and they have the best experience, that is stress for me. But
Yeah.
I should know, I should have that resilience and the tools to manage that stress. तो जब वो
Hmm.
stress manage हो जाता है, you know what you're dealing with, your hormonal functions will be running smoothly. Mind
Hmm.
and digestion be related hai. These days the digestive issues are rampant, not just because of the diet, but because
Hmm.
of the amount of stress we have.
Hmm.
So for all the hormonal issues, not just PCOD, you have to take care of this: diet, move, and take care of your mind. So do breath work, calm yourself down, take yourself, learn how to. And if you feel that you are in a job or you are in any kind of situation which is affecting your health to such a degree that you are not even able to function, you
Hmm.
are dreading going to work, you are like, your mental health is a mess, your body is not cooperating, then maybe it's time for you to look at changing what you're doing, make some change.
Hmm.
ऐसा नहीं है that you are stuck to one job, it's just a job at the end of the day.
Right.
तो all this works in collision, I mean in unison.
In tandem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. That keep the whole perspective of the theme that has been throughout this podcast is, being mindful of stuff that you're
Yes,
doing from the larger lens as well, and even from the present lens कि आप क्या कर रहे हो, वो
exactly.
analyze करते
Why
रहना
you are
कि
doing
what
it?
is it.
Why
Yeah.
do you need that? You're so stressed about not having that bag which your friend has, that 2 lakh rupee bag. Okay,
Hmm.
everything is about that bag. You are ready to spend your
Hmm.
1 month salary on that bag. But
Hmm.
why? हमें पता ही नहीं है क्यों हमें चाहिए ये सब चीजें क्यों करना
Hmm.
है. And anyways, that is not going to give you happiness at the end of it. You will get that bag, you will use it once, you will use it twice, and then you'll be like, okay, now I need something else. So
Hmm.
understand that why. You can get the bag, there's nothing wrong, but with that
Yeah.
understanding, that bag
कि
is
क्यों
not the
लिया.
solution to all my
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And thank you for not giving a blanket solution to it. I mean, it would have been uh, easier to say and easier for people to listen, but thanks for not putting a solution there when there
Right.
is not, when it's not that simple, right? Why just
Yeah.
say for the sake of saying it? And and when we also discussed like quite a couple of other diseases or practices as well, like say there's migraine, or say there's people who have like occurring constipation. Again,
Right.
is there something particular that they can do in this sense because there are not hormones involved, or again it's a pretty open,
No, they can do it, but it
okay,
has to be a holistic approach.
holistic?
For migraines, I always ask people first, you identify your triggers.
Hmm.
And most of the times, people will know if they put in that mindfulness. Acha, I'm having this. A lot of people get migraines triggered with caffeine, for example. It's just one of the examples. And some people have it with a lot of bright light, when they are stressed, when they don't sleep well. So all of these, so identify your triggers, and if possible, try to avoid them as best as you can. And for yoga, Brahmari pranayam, which is a very simple technique, you hum. So you inhale through the nose, and when you're exhaling, you do a sound. You can even close
Hmm.
your ears. Okay, so it doesn't have to be too complicated. Doing
Hmm.
Brahmari is really good, but not when you're having an attack. So this is more
Okay.
preventive. So you do it
Hmm.
uh, because when you're having an attack, you will not even be able to do much. You will not
Do
want to
stuff.
do too much. Yeah. So that we can do. And
Hmm.
having a good lifestyle when you're not having an attack, it can prevent it. So people, again, managing stress. Stress is
Hmm.
also a big trigger for migraine, and migraines are very common these days. So managing your stress, so you keep the intensity and the duration, and also how frequently these episodes are coming, they keep reducing, and people have done that. A lot of
Hmm.
people in my classes, they say that if they are regular to the classes, they can feel it helps even
Hmm.
prevent migraines. So
Hmm.
I cannot say that it's just one thing, okay, only
That
Brahmari
you can
karte
do.
raho pure time. Pura, you're doing sun salutations, you're doing movement. And also when it comes to these kind of issues, migraines, high blood pressure, even back issues, in yoga practice, and I'm sure even in other fitness formats, what you don't have to do is also very important, because what can heal
Hmm.
you can also
Hmm.
make things worse. So I used to teach at a gym where we had like
Hmm.
the yoga and the gym was together.
Yeah.
So we had a separate floor for yoga, and gym was. So a lot of times, anybody who used to get injured in gym, they used to be like, "Acha," the
Come to.
trainers used to be like, "Ab aap yoga kar lo and get yourself fixed, and then come back to lifting." And then we
Hmm.
used to get so many of these people. I injured my knee, I injured my back, and then we
Hmm.
were expected to play doctors and nurses and just miraculously heal them.
Heal them.
So again, then of course, it was so common there, because that mindfulness,
Hmm.
maybe the body was not ready for that amount of weight, or whatever the case was, alignments,
Hmm.
a lot of imbalances in the body. So if you overtrain a certain set of, if you muscles, and then
Yeah.
one gets very strong, one gets weak,
Hmm.
so all these imbalances can also creep up. So again, with
Hmm.
that mindfulness is not there and the right guidance is not there, you get in.
Hmm.
So it's again, migraine ke alawa, you said one more thing. What was that?
Constipation.
Constipation. Constipation also excellent ways, because there is a separate series, like I told you how is the one series, power move series, in which we do, there is one series dedicated to this abdominal region, so increasing the strength of this area. So usme there is a lot of stuff when you physically, like, bringing the thigh to the chest and all of that, and there is a sequence that you do it, so then it
Okay.
works very well in that. But also for constipation, you can try to identify what constipates you: untimely eating, late night binging, and not having a routine gives chronic constipation. Also, again, constipation ke liye people are like high fiber diet, right? Logically, but sometimes high fiber can make things worse, because if
Hmm.
you're not having enough liquids or enough hydration, high
Hmm.
fiber can actually make things worse, because that fiber will just absorb all the moisture from your stool and make it even harder. So क्या आप नॉलेज इंफॉर्मेशन ले रहे हो एंड कैसे अपने ऊपर अप्लाई कर रहे हो वो देखना है.
Hmm.
So of course,
Hmm.
having high fiber means, I think oats. I mean, I'm just saying for me this works well. Having oatmeal. I like oatmeal is my once a week. I have to have that breakfast. So
Hmm.
oatmeal with a little bit of cinnamon and some nuts. So oatmeal and these generally making sure ultra processed food is avoided, because that is devoid of fiber. So if you're having a lot of maida, for example, burgers
Hmm.
and all of that, and not having enough fiber with that. So if you're having a burger, you can have, like, make sure other meals you're having a good amount of veggies and you're having fruit and all of that.
Hmm.
Very very high protein diet, I know that's also a craze these days, that can also constipate people, because again,
Hmm.
protein is difficult for the body to process, and again, if you are eating so much of protein, of course proportionately आपका fiber जो आपको veggies and also होता है वो कम हो जाएगा ना. If you're having, like, I
Hmm.
see people having like 10 boiled eggs for breakfast, for example. So
Hmm.
so you should understand, okay, मैं खा रहा हूँ, I'm bulking up, or this is my goal, but then how am I balancing? And not pooping every day is something which will definitely end you in trouble later.
Hmm.
You will end up in trouble when you're not pooping every day. You should work on that. And there is
Hmm.
another thing, in yoga there is a lot of emphasis on keeping the body clean, because
Hmm.
again, right, if you're constipated and you can't
Hmm.
do your yoga practice, you can't bend
Yeah.
much, you'll be like, oh, or if you're too bloated, that's logic, right?
Yeah.
So again, we
Yeah.
have kriyas in yoga. So if your
Hmm.
nose is not clean, for example, you have a lot of sinusitis or you have a lot of congestion in general, आप pranayam kaise karoge? You can't. So again,
Hmm.
those are also, they come before asan. Before asan
Hmm.
and pranayam, you clean the body. In hatha yoga,
Hmm.
I told you the Patanjali 8 limbs, which are like asan,
Hmm.
pranayam, what I was saying. So there is hatha yoga, limbs are different. So
Okay.
in that, keeping the body clean is the prerequisite for a good asan practice. So for constipation, another thing that works really well is you wake up in the morning and you have some warm water. And
Hmm.
there are a lot of trends which come ki ACV water and lemon dalo and all of that. So in Ayurveda, because uh, I when I give diets to people, I do it with Ayurvedic lens, not just macros or not just proteins
Hmm.
and all of that. So in that,
Hmm.
warm water is the best. You can just take a glass of warm water and help you. And this is something I started with my daughter, because she used to be so
Hmm.
erratic, and she used बच्चे कैसे होते हैं. And then there used to be, like, 2 days she was not going, because she was like, no, it's a waste of time. I can play. Why should I
Hmm.
sit on the pot? It became like the kids
Yeah.
think like that. So then now I've made a
Smart.
rule. She wakes up in the morning and she knows she has to go before school. So we just
Hmm.
give her just a tiny glass of few sips of warm water, and she's good
Hmm.
to go.
Hmm.
So something of this sort can really work. And these are so simple, right?
Correct.
Pani, garam pani to har jagah available. I had this question from a lady in the studio, and she's like, I don't want my body to get used to, something like this. It should not be used to any of this. I was like, yeah, pani to hamesha available hi hoga na. There would be no instance that you will not have
Ah.
access to water. I'm not asking you to do something out of the blue. And if it's helping your
Correct.
chronic constipation, then why not?
Correct. Only at a point you can look at comfort when the thing is not that grave, but if you need it,
Exactly.
you
And
need
I'm
it.
not saying drink 1 liter of water, because again, that is another thing. It's extreme.
Yeah.
You can have a
Yeah.
small glass of warm water.
Hmm.
And yoga mein to hum bolte hain, you can have that warm water, you can do some malasans, or there's some specific poses you can do that, because it puts a good amount of
Pressure.
pressure here in your abdomen.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
earlier people used to Squat and poop. We sit on our nice thrones with the cell phones. uh,
Uh,
so yeah, so that malasan replicates what it's the nature, it's natural. And now people don't believe when it comes from our ancient sciences or ancient wisdom. But the moment
hmm.
somebody does research and there are some papers about it, and people are like, huh. Now, in
Yeah.
the West, there are squatty potties. I don't know if you've heard. So you sit on this
I
and
don't know.
tiny stool, and then your
Uh,
knees are going up. If that works for you, why not? We don't have Indian toilets at home, right? We don't. I
yeah.
mean, nobody has these days. So you can
Yeah.
squat, or you can buy those squatty potties.
Is this a device or something? Stool आता है?
Huh?
Is this a stool or something?
Yeah, it's basically what it does is replicates the squat position. So you elevate your
Uh,
feet so the knees are quite high. So it looks like it becomes
does
like a
this
squat. The legs put a gentle pressure on your colon, so it's easier. It's easier
next
to
में?
eliminate. Yes,
Right.
try
अच्छा
it.
हाँ, please try people. And
Yes.
it's been an hour हम भी बैठे हैं. Are there some, can we do some things for the back and for the neck for a couple minutes so that people, and something that I can also incorporate in my day, say at work when I go tomorrow.
Sure, you
What are
can.
some
You can.
four or five things I can do, and what is a, मतलब कोई आइडियल ड्यूरेशन तो होगा नहीं कि जब ब्रेक ले पा रहे हो, द मोर द बेटर, राइट?
Yeah. So the neck, shoulder, all of these kind of things you can do anytime. But
Hmm.
anything, any twist, anything you're doing for the with the abdomen or lower body, immediately after a meal, it should be avoided. Right? Any
Okay.
exercise for that matter, you will not feel. You can go for a walk after a meal,
हाँ.
but in the mornings when you're feeling tired, uh, our bodies are so beautiful. When we wake up, what do we feel like doing? This, right?
Yes.
It's so natural. It feels so good. So a lot of
Yeah.
these things can be replicated. So
Okay.
something for the wrists for people who type a lot, and we all spend so
Yes.
much of time on the phone. So you can do these mobilities. So you can try this, feels so good. So you
Okay.
make gentle fists. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have to do it like an exercise. We have to do it slow. So people are like, okay, no, try to, yeah, do a big range.
Try
So
to
instead
feel
of
it.
going fast, jitna upar kar sakte ho, and then you make a big circle, and you can even
Yeah.
close your eyes and try to feel, okay, where am I feeling the stretch? Is it feeling good?
Hmm.
Any pinching pains, sharp pains, maybe you're going too deep, maybe you have some injury, so you make smaller circles. And then
Nice.
whichever direction you're doing, you do 10 of these maybe
And
initially,
then
okay, 10
reverse.
reverse. 10 to 12 is enough, and it doesn't take too long. So there is, for wrist, this is enough. Another one which I like to do for wrist is you interlock your fingers and you just
Huh.
make these gentle infinity shapes, okay, with the hands.
Oh.
But again, not going so fast that you give jerks. So make it
But
very
feeling
smooth.
it.
Yeah, feeling it. Notice this, you'll even feel on your forearms. So do this
Okay.
one. And so these are for wrists. This
For the
shoulder
wrist.
and neck, this complex is very tight for most people. So
Yeah.
shoulder mobility, these are very simple. And if
Huh.
possible, if you're having some issue with one side shoulder or any injury, mobility exercises are really good. So you can work on mobility exercises. Today, of course, I
Okay.
can't give, because it
Of
depends
course.
upon the injury, or it depends upon the
Sure.
weakness. But a
Sure.
very simple one would be, which we do even in yoga. So you do this. So you again,
Hmm.
instead of making small range, try to increase the range,
Enhance the
because
range.
shoulder and hip both are ball and socket joints, which means they have a
Hmm.
good range. But we are
Oh.
always in position, and this.
Huh.
So this
Yeah.
external rotation. So this is internal, right? External rotation
Huh.
of the shoulders. So ये बहुत missing है हमारी
Acha.
life में.
Huh.
So you can do these.
So this is something we
Some
can
of,
do.
yeah, and then again other direction. So the good part
Feels
about
so
this is,
good in
along
yoga.
with, yeah, shoulder mobility, this will also work on your upper back, which is very tight
Huh.
for us.
Right.
So and neck के लिए तो you can do, rather than trying to stretch too much. Stretching is ठीक है, अच्छा लगता है ऐसे gentle stretches. Again, work
Huh.
on mobility, because movement is going to be much better than just stretching mindlessly,
Just
and बहुत
stretching.
जोर लगा के भी people do. So you
Huh.
can do neck का तो ऊपर नीचे, and if you have the
Huh.
range, you can do some circles. But this
Okay.
stretch, this if you want to stretch, this stretch feels good. But don't apply too much of pressure. Yeah, very
Huh.
gently feel the stretch over here. And strengthening the neck is also very important, because we are always in this position, right? So
Yes. ऐसे.
how we are sitting also, and posture improvement के लिए another thing that is very doable for a lot of people is you hang, you start hanging
Hmm.
जहाँ पे भी मिल रहा है थोड़ी देर लटको. बचपन में तो we used to do, as adults
Yeah.
we lose out on the basic stuff. So
It helps with
hanging, if
posture. I didn't know that.
hmm?
It does help with posture. I didn't know that.
It's for people who practice yoga. Why I
Huh.
really insist on them incorporating
Okay.
hanging is it's a very good counter stretch to all the pushing we do in yoga. We do a
Hmm.
lot of pushing. Okay, there is planks, downward dog, all the things we do push. So the
Hmm.
opposite of that movement is you hang. So one muscle is not getting too strong and the other is not getting weakened. So hanging, increasing hang time, and also for posture, if you strengthen the muscles in the back, not stretch. People think, "अरे back को stretch करना है." ठीक है, stretching is good for that moment, but for making sure your posture remains good throughout, you have to strengthen the back muscles. So you can
Okay.
do that with whichever format you like to
Hmm.
work out with. Because if I say yoga and you're not liking it or you're not connecting to it, then there's no point. You should enjoy the
Hmm.
workout. And when
Hmm.
I say enjoy, it doesn't mean कि day one से पसंद आ जाएगा. It's like love at first sight. No, you try for a week. That's when you get a
Yeah.
little better. You understand, acha, what is happening.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then you decide whether you like to do strength training. And it's not you just have to do one thing. Most of these
Hmm.
things are very complementary. So you can
Hmm.
use yoga for your physical strength, yoga also, because these days there are so many different types and styles of yoga. So
Hmm.
yoga can make you my teaching style, though it's very traditional focused, but I
Hmm.
also incorporate strength in my yoga classes because I know that is something that is lacking, and
Hmm.
it will help with your yoga. So for advanced postures, for generally having that longevity, strength
Hmm.
training is a good combo with yoga. So you do yoga for the mind, but you can do anything else for the body, whatever you like.
Hmm.
uh, so posture के लिए I gave you these gentle thing. ये तो हमें पता है, it feels
ये
good.
तो मैं
You
पता.
can do some gentle twists also. And what works amazing for posture in my experience is side bend. So या बैठ के भी कर सकते हो. You can do
Hmm.
this with the wall also. So if you're not
Okay.
having that
Going
much
like
of
that.
free, yeah,
Hmm.
just lean against a wall and do the same thing. So you know you keep pressing the shoulder blades into the wall and then you go to the side. जितना हो रहा है,
So
don't
essentially, a
force it.
wall is on the back, right?
Yeah. So you are
ऐसे wall के
stretch.
साथ.
हाँ, shoulder blades
Okay.
back wall पे चिपक
Shoulder पे
जाएंगे.
अच्छा.
And then you go and if possible engage the core, and you're stretching
हाँ.
one side but you're also working on the core strength.
The core.
Core strength also should be good. That is helping us sit upright. Core weak
Hmm.
hai to fir you are this. That's why six
Hmm.
pack and all of that. Okay, maybe six pack is the superficial muscle which people
Yeah.
think कि अच्छा six pack है तो बहुत strong होगा, but actually we need to train our deep core which you can't
हाँ.
see. That is what
हाँ.
makes your posture. That is what helps you walk, stabilize, lift.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. बहुत सारी चीजें सिखा दी. Nice. But ठीक है. I think of course we can't like do stuff here and tell everything to you people here. But I think these are great starters and at least
Great
brings
stuff.
in brings in the importance
Yeah.
की भाई
If even
starting
one
point
person
हुआ
watching this goes enrolls for a yoga class, in a studio or
someday.
online
I think I may
next week,
enroll.
yeah.
I
So
may be
it,
that one person.
we made that difference. No, I think
Yeah.
whoever is watching out of that, whoever gets to at least try, give it a shot to going to the
Yeah.
gym or yoga next week.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that we can think our job is done.
Yes. And also on that note, as you mentioned about the retreat as well, right? There's a
Yes.
retreat that Miss
So
Pallavi
my
is planning.
retreat, yeah. So again, it's built on the pillars of working with everything. So in retreat, we are gonna have Ayurvedic food. So
Hmm.
vacation के बाद क्या होता है? We eat like the worst foods for the vacation. We don't sleep. We exhaust ourselves, and we come back, and we are definitely not ready to go back to work. So my whole
Hmm.
intent of starting this retreat or designing this retreat was people should go back ready. They should be charged for
Hmm.
the rest of the year. So that
Hmm.
is the level of energy you should get. So I've kept yoga and different kinds of movement. There is something fun like beach yoga because we're going to be in Goa, right? So
Hmm.
beach
Yeah.
to banta hai hai. So beach
हाँ.
yoga, something to have fun. we're going to have working with the mind. So I'm going to give beginner meditation tips and techniques, which even kids can do. So that's how when doing something physical is much easier. So I'm going to give them those guidance. We're going to do breath work. We're going to also have like some activities to understand our body type. So I told you the other day, right, in yoga we have different kinds of body. Based on that, you might have those certain kind of issues in future. If you're some people are predisposed to certain kinds of issues. So just understanding what is working for us, and then we're going to have a lot of fun activities. We're going to be doing art therapy, and just generally having a complete connect with nature. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of greenery there. There's a lake. We're going to go for a hike, exploring a secret beachside location, a secret beach. So all of that, so when you come back you are ready. And also because you will be with this a retreat,
People.
these kind of retreats are not for everyone.
Hmm.
Vacations are for everyone. For these kind of retreats, you need to have some amount of interest of growing, that I want to work on myself. I want to get better, whether physically, because in 3 days, you can't completely transform your body, but you
Yeah.
can transform your mindset. You can transform how you look at things. And the theme is self discovery. So you can know more about yourself, because you're going to be doing a lot of internal work in the retreat. So I am definitely saying that not for everyone. It's, if you feel that you need a vacation and you can have a vacation, have a vacation. Retreat, it needs certain amount of seriousness towards
Yeah.
yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
There'll be some information about the retreat in the description below as well. People, you can check that
Yeah.
out. And before we wrap up, there was as we discussed, right? There's a lot of passion about you talking about specific benefits for pregnant women, right, and young
Yeah.
mothers also. So before we go, I think I would like you to probably elaborate on that. कि yoga कैसे young mothers को pre and post pregnancy help कर सकता है.
Yes, this is something I'm so passionate about, because
Yeah.
this helped me through both my pregnancies, and this make the journey of pregnancy and postpartum magical for me. And I agree. Each Since I've had two kids, I know each pregnancy is different. Your body is different. The Everything is different. Okay, so I can understand and appreciate it might be different for everyone around, but there are few basic things that, not to feel like a victim, not to feel like a person, you're made to feel like you're sick. Rest karo, ye
Hmm.
karo, wo karo, you need to, yoga can help with the physical changes and transformation in the body. Of course, the whole body changes. You have a life growing inside you. Like organs shift, and
Yeah.
to make room for a human
Hmm.
being inside of you.
Hmm.
And your body is, it's so amazing, it creates a new organ. The placenta is an organ which is created from scratch. तुम्हारी
Okay.
body एक नया organ बना रही है. So you have to give yourself that amount of love, and the
Hmm.
love that you are ready to give the baby, you're not ready to give yourself. So
Hmm.
in fact, today in the evening, I have a session. A lady is going to join from US, and she's pregnant. And pregnancy yoga ka benefit kya hai? Every trimester, it's customized. So you do
Hmm.
different stuff in the first trimester, where you have to be a little careful, okay? Be cautious about what you can do. And then towards the later trimesters, you prepare yourself and the body for having a normal delivery. So every month, the practice changes, and there are a lot of do's and don'ts during pregnancy. A lot of that is why prenatal yoga is a separate branch altogether, because there are a lot of things that you cannot do, and there are a lot of things you should do more of to help with your goal. So if you're I think for most women, towards the end, if the goal is to have a lot of that calmness, and work on your anxiety about the whole being a mother and going through the delivery and all of that, and being able to have a normal delivery, again postpartum, being able to have the physical strength to take care of your baby. You have to carry the baby, you have to feed the
Hmm.
baby, you have to be mentally alert, but at the same time taking care of yourself. So this yoga is the love that you're giving yourself. So moms, you need to move, you need to do yoga, you need to, don't do anything drastic. And please, prenatal yoga, do it under guidance of professionals, very
Yeah.
important. Postpartum also, again, postpartum is a different thing because the body has to recover from
Hmm.
the childbirth and the 9 months of pregnancy. So for postpartum, I would just say two things. Don't rush the physical transformation. So people, a lot of women are so concerned about getting the tummy flat after the delivery.
Hmm.
They kind of rush starting. They're like, no, we need to work out. First, heal physically, heal mentally, start slow, start
Hmm.
gradually, and of course, wait for your doctor to give you clearance because every pregnancy is different, every postpartum
Hmm.
is also different. If you
Yeah.
have had a normal delivery, your recovery might be faster than a C-section. C-section recovery will be different, right? So I would say this for moms: take care of yourselves, and after
Hmm.
having the baby, you take time to heal. But if you keep giving uh, excuses to yourself that because of my baby I can't do this, because of my, then that is just an excuse. You can
Hmm.
definitely take help, carve out half an hour to you for yourself, because
Hmm.
that's gonna again charge you for the rest. If you're doing 1 hour of yoga or any exercise, breath work, mindfulness, that will give you tools for the rest 23 hours. So you're not stressed.
Hmm.
It's very stressful. Pregnancy is stressful. Postpartum is also very, you have a surge of hormones inside you. You are expected to take care of a new human being. And
Yeah.
at the same time, feel that okay, I have to still live my life. So a lot of stuff goes. Please take time out for yourself, rest,
Hmm.
and of course move, exercise. And yoga is excellent because it's low intensity. Yoga can
Hmm.
be low to moderate intensity, so you are quite safe,
Hmm.
whether it's pregnancy or postpartum.
Thank you for summarizing that so well. Of
Yeah.
course, I can't contribute from my experience on pregnancy, but
Yes.
yes, thank you for doing that. And overall, I think I'm recently of late trying to bring in this perspective that people who are watching or listening to not just a podcast, not just my podcast, any podcast or any meeting, that have a next action to it, right? You've watched something. Are you going to do something about it? When are you going to doing it? When are you taking action, right? Or doing something like that. So what I have made a note today is that one, as I mentioned to you, right, I will work on my lower body strength and not just quick fixes as you mentioned, because it needs long term strength from that lens. And of course
Correct.
incorporating these stretches within work, probably also do a 10-minute walk at lunch, because there is scope where
Good.
I tend to do it but I don't usually do it quite often, but I think I can do that.
Yes.
And yes, do stuff with more mindfulness. And even I think, since I wanted to start meditation, I think yoga looks like a good first step as someone like me, because it has that physical element involved, and I know that it will be a little easier than
It
meditating right away, and of course helps build strength, right? So why
definitely.
not? Why not? And yes, as we say goodbye to a lot of people who've listened, something that you like to say as a parting note, as a final message, maybe summarizing what we've said.
Start now. Don't wait for
Hmm.
Monday, and
Uh,
take small steps which are actionable and doable rather than trying to do too many things and getting overwhelmed. And
yeah.
think of fitness as a holistic journey. So you work on different aspects of fitness. So mental fitness is as important or maybe even more important than just physical fitness, because if your
Hmm.
mind is strong, you will eat well, you will know
Hmm.
what you're doing, you will show up for working out, you will show up for your emotions. So prioritize and balance everything. Try to
Hmm.
exercise moderation whenever you are approaching fitness. If you overdo just one bit of it, even physically, if you overdo it, over training is a thing, right? People
Yeah.
burn out. So when you're adding that element of mindfulness to whatever you're doing,
Hmm.
yoga can be with you even off the mat. So you're mindfully
Hmm.
eating, you're enjoying that ice cream, and
Hmm.
okay, I'm having and mindfully enjoying this ice cream, and next I'll have next weekend. So you become very
Hmm.
mindful. It's not robotic.
Correct.
Yeah.
Chalo. Chalo. On that note, thank you so much, people, for being with us for quite some time. Hope you did the stretches with us while we were doing those,
Yes.
and yes, make a lot of notes of what you want to do, and yes, you'll find more information about Miss Pallavi, her content, her retreat in the description below. Please feel free to check it out and proceed with whatever you would like to. And
Yes.
yes, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Preet. Bye.